Have you ever felt that sting? You pour your entire being into someone, twisting yourself into knots just to make them stay. You convince yourself that if you're just kind enough, loving enough, giving enough, they'll finally choose you. But they don't. They leave. And you're left with that same hollow echo in your chest, asking, what's wrong with me? Am I just not enough? Since you were a kid, you were sold a story. The story that love is a missing piece of a puzzle, that you have to sand down your edges to fit with someone else, that your worth is something granted to you by another person's affection. But Carl Jung saw the truth, a truth that turns all of that on its head. He said that if you are not conscious of your own worth, you will cycle through the same kind of relationships forever. Relationships that only confirm your deepest fear, that you are worthless. You will spend your life begging for a love from others that you have never, ever learned to give to yourself. It's only when you finally love yourself, not with empty words, but with hard boundaries, with a refusal to accept a love that feels like crumbs, with the courage to be alone and still feel whole, that the right person finally shows up. Not because you need them to complete you, but because you are already complete, and your wholeness calls to theirs. Today we're going to uncover why loving yourself isn't a cliché. It's the fundamental shift that attracts a love you've only dreamed of. Stick with me, because the love you're desperately searching for isn't in someone else's hands. It's an awakening waiting inside of you. First, let's get one thing straight. Love that is born from a place of need is not love at all. You think you're looking for love, but what you're really looking for is an anesthetic, a drug to numb a pain you've never had the courage to face. You tell yourself you want a secure, committed relationship with someone who loves you for you. But take a hard, honest look at your past. How many times have you found yourself in a connection that made you feel small, anxious, and utterly dependent on their mood? How many times have you whispered to yourself, why do I always fall for the same type? Why am I always the one who cares more? And after each inevitable heartbreak, how many times did you promise yourself it would be different, only to find yourself right back in the same suffocating dance? This isn't a streak of bad luck. This is a wound in your unconscious, playing itself out on a loop, over and over, until you are finally awake enough to look it straight in the eye. Carl Jung taught that you don't attract what you want with your conscious mind. You attract what you are asterisk in the deepest parts of your being. In that hidden realm where your fears, your buried traumas, and the limiting beliefs you don't even know you have are pulling the strings. Think of the classic example, a woman who consistently falls for emotionally unavailable men who are cold, distant, and never fully let her in. Every time a relationship crumbles, she tells her friends, "That's it. Next time I'm choosing a kind man." But the next time comes and she finds herself drawn to the exact same energy, just in a different body. Why? Because she hasn't done the work on herself. Deep in her unconscious, a silent belief is running the show. I am not worthy of being fully loved. I have to earn it. I have to prove I'm good enough. And so, her unconscious programming seeks out the very people who will trigger that feeling. The people who make her feel like love is a prize to be won through relentless effort. This is the cruel, brilliant trap of the unawakened mind. You call it love, but you're just recasting the same old play with new actors. It's not love. It's emotional dependency, wearing a very convincing mask. Love that comes from a place of lack is a transaction. You give your affection, but you're expecting something back. A fix for your emptiness. A shield against your fear of being alone. A validation that you matter. You aren't loving from a place of wholeness. You're loving from a gaping hole inside you. And that is precisely why it can never ever last. It isn't healthy because it isn't free. It's born from need, and anything born from need creates chains. Be brutally honest with yourself for a moment. When you think you're in love, do you become a different version of yourself? More fragile, more anxious, thrown into a panic when they don't text back the way you expect? That's your sign. You aren't loving them. You are clinging to the idea of them, the hope that they will be the one to finally heal you. And that is the very beginning of all your suffering. If this is hitting a nerve, just leave a comment below. Let me know I'm speaking to you. Jung called this an identification with the wound. It's when you haven't separated your true self from the part of you that has been hurt. Instead of healing that part, you look for a partner to carry it for you, to love you so much that the insecurities just disappear. But no one can do that for you. And so you are perpetually disappointed, perpetually hurt, perpetually demanding, and perpetually repeating the cycle. Love born from need is like trying to build a house on quicksand. It might look solid for a moment, but one small wave of conflict or distance, and the whole thing comes crashing down. Because its foundation isn't inside you. It's entirely dependent on the other person's presence, their words, their actions. You've handed them the keys to your emotional state. They leave, you shatter. They stay, you can breathe. That isn't love. It's an emotional addiction. And that kind of love will always be a beautiful, dangerous illusion. Until you are brave enough to face this, you will keep running in circles, hoping the next person will finally love you right, instead of learning to do that for yourself. Picture a man, fresh out of a breakup. Instead of taking a moment to actually feel the pain, to understand what the relationship taught him, to sit with the wound, he immediately jumps on dating apps. He starts swiping, talking to anyone who can give him a quick hit of validation, a momentary feeling of being chosen. He thinks he's moving on, but he's just running from himself. And who does he meet? He meets other people who are also running. Relationships born from two people in a state of lack, two people in a rush, connecting through mutual fear instead of mutual peace. And then, inevitably, he's disappointed again, abandoned again, and he reinforces his belief that love is pain. But he's missing the most critical piece of the puzzle. The energy he is putting out is shaping the love he is getting back. If all you carry inside you is anxiety, fear, and a desperate hunger for validation, you will only attract people who activate those very same feelings. To change the love you attract, you can't start by changing who you date. You have to start by going inside. You have to meet that old fear, bring it into the light, and instead of looking for someone to quiet it, you have to ask it, why do I believe I'm not enough? Where did this story come from? And is it even true? No one can love you enough to make you feel enough. That person doesn't exist. The only thing that changes the game is when you stop needing love as an emotional crutch and finally learn to stand on your own. It sounds harsh, but it's the one truth that can set you free. True love is not an addiction. We so often mistake emotional hunger for love. When you're starving, any food will do. But that doesn't make it nourishing. This love born from need is a betrayal of the self. It's handing over the power of your own happiness to someone else. And there's an even deeper layer to this. It's not just that we love in the wrong way. It's that we see the wrong people. Because most of what you call love is just a projection of your own shadow. Number 2, the projection machine in relationships. Jung once said, "The best political, social, and spiritual work we can do is to withdraw the projection of our shadow onto others." What he meant is that love is never just an emotion. It is a perfect, unflinching mirror of your own inner state. You don't just love someone for who they are. You love them because they awaken something inside of you that you haven't yet acknowledged in yourself. We like to think our encounters are random. You meet someone at work, through a friend, a chance meeting on the street, a swipe on an app. But in Jung's world, nothing is an accident, especially not the people who enter your life. The person you meet is the person your soul has been calling for. Jung argued that we are not just driven by our conscious mind, the part of you that you know and think you control. We are guided by a much deeper layer, the collective unconscious, a reservoir of instincts and archetypes. These are primal images and patterns that have existed since the beginning of humanity. In love, the most powerful of these archetypes are the anima and animus. The anima is the unconscious feminine image in a man's psyche. It represents tenderness, intuition, and emotion. The animus is the unconscious masculine image in a woman's psyche. It embodies logic, action, and strength. Every single one of us, regardless of gender, carries an idealized image of the other, shaped by these inner archetypes. When you meet someone who happens to match this internal blueprint, You aren't just attracted, you feel a jolt of destiny, a sense of meant to be, as if the universe itself orchestrated this meeting to make you whole. It feels fated, like an invisible thread has connected two lives from completely different worlds. Jung said that some connections are made long before life gives them a name. This isn't just poetry, it's a psychological theory. Beneath the surface of your daily life, something much deeper is at work. Nothing happens by chance. Chance is just a language you don't yet understand. What you call fate is really just the movement of your unconscious, interacting with the world around you. People come into your life as mirrors, not to please you, but to show you to yourself. The crucial point is this: you don't even need to know what frequency you're broadcasting. Your unconscious is doing it for you. The suppressed desire for love, the deep-seated feelings of inadequacy, the beliefs about relationships you absorbed as a child without ever questioning them, all of this is sending out an energetic signal. And because of this, every significant person who enters your life is carrying a message. They are here to reflect the deepest, most hidden layers of you. They are like a door that suddenly opens in the middle of your ordinary life. And when they step through, they activate a part of you that has been dormant. You might meet someone who is quiet and distant, someone who hurts you by making you feel ignored and abandoned. But if you look deep enough, you'll realize that feeling wasn't created by them. That feeling was already inside you, waiting. They just woke it up. They are reflecting the part of you that has always craved love to feel validated. If you're seeing a piece of yourself in this, just pause for a second. Leave a symbol or a comment below. Let yourself and others know that you are not alone on this path. This is how our shadow, the parts of ourselves we deny, finds its way into the light. Not through reading books, but through real people, real feelings, and real pain. And that's why, as much as they hurt, these encounters are necessary. The truth is, you don't meet anyone by accident. You meet the exact right person for the lesson you need to learn. The person who hurts you is there to show you your own unhealed pain. The person who makes you feel insecure is there to reflect your own false beliefs. And the person who finally makes you feel like yourself is there to remind you that you deserve to be exactly that. But here's the trap. We don't love them for who they really are. We fall in love with a projected image from our own psyche. We love the idea of them, not the messy, complicated, real human beings standing in front of us. When love is built on projection, it's an illusion. And when that illusion inevitably shatters, we feel betrayed, angry, and hurt. But instead of turning inward to ask, what part of me did they reflect? We just go looking for a new screen to project onto. And the cycle starts all over again. But projection is only one part of the equation. What truly keeps us locked in these unhealthy dynamics is the unconscious energy we are constantly emitting, the energy of lack. Number 3, the energy of lack. You might not say the words out loud. You might be an expert at hiding your true feelings. But energy does not lie. Other people can feel your neediness. They can sense that you are someone who doesn't know how to love themselves. Not through what you say, but in the way your gaze lingers a little too long. The way you wait for their text message with a knot in your stomach. The way you stay silent when you should speak up. Or the way you try just a little too hard to be liked. Carl Jung said that what you are not aware of controls you. And it's this energy of lack, this intense but invisible hunger, that will curdle any love, no matter how much you try to protect it. Be honest. How many times have you felt your world tilt on its axis because someone didn't reply to your message for a few hours? How many times have you found yourself scrolling through their social media, trying to piece together clues about what they're thinking, where they are, who they're with? How many times have you pretended you were fine when on the inside you were a storm of anxiety, just waiting for them to do something, anything, to make you feel secure again? That is the energy of need. And it's not just exhausting for you. It's the very thing that makes other people slowly, quietly pull away. In modern psychology, this is called attachment anxiety. But in Jung's terms, it's an unintegrated shadow. When you need love from another person to feel worthy, you are, without realizing it, handing them your soul. You aren't loving them, you are begging them for validation. People don't pull away from you because You're not attractive enough, or interesting enough, or good enough. They pull away because they can feel the crushing weight of your expectation, the unspoken demand that they be responsible for your sense of security, your wholeness, your worth. No one can carry that burden for long, and so they retreat. And when they do, you feel abandoned all over again, confirming your deepest fear. See, I knew I wasn't enough. And the cycle resets. Jung said, quote, "Where there is desire, there is bondage." The desire he speaks of isn't simple attraction. It's the absolute, desperate need for another person to fill the void inside you. The energy of need is fundamentally different from the desire to connect. Desire comes from fullness. I want you in my life, but I am still whole without you. Need comes from lack. If you are not here, I do not know who I am. This is the razor's edge between healthy love and obsessive love. The problem is, you can't easily see this energy in yourself. It operates from the unconscious, like an invisible current. You think you're just being loving, but you're actually being fearful. And that fear dictates your actions in ways that, ironically, push love away. Asking too many questions, getting upset over small things, constantly seeking reassurance, these are all symptoms of the energy of need, an energy that suffocates the very connection you're trying to hold on to. Carl Jung understood this profoundly. He described the unconscious as an iceberg. The small tip above the water is your conscious mind, but beneath the surface lies the vast, powerful subconscious, holding all your past experiences, your traumas, your insecurities, and, most importantly, your projections. Think about how fear operates in your life, often in disguise. It masquerades as doubt when you question if you're good enough for someone. It hides in procrastination when you put off going after what you truly want. It manifests in relationships where you give far too much of yourself, just to avoid the terror of being alone or the fear that nobody needs you. Look around you. The people who seem to attract others effortlessly don't do it by trying harder. They do it by not needing to. They are grounded in themselves. They are at peace. They don't radiate an energy of anxiety, and that sense of inner stability is what makes them so magnetic. They aren't playing games. They aren't straining. They are simply at ease in their own skin. The hard truth is that love isn't afraid of your flaws, but it will flee from the energy of begging. And that begging doesn't require words. It's in the way you wait too long for a text back, forgive things you shouldn't, sacrifice your own needs, and never dare to ask for what you want for fear that they will leave. So if you find yourself in a relationship where the other person is growing distant, before you point the finger at them, look at the energy you are bringing to the table. Are you loving from a place of freedom or from a place of desperation? Are you interacting from peace or from panic? Are you opening your heart, or are you clinging for dear life? Others feel it all, not with their minds, but with their gut. And human instinct is to move away from invisible pressure. Even if someone loves you deeply, if they feel constantly trapped by your energy, they will pull back, because they also need space to be themselves. To keep love, you don't need to try harder. You need less. When you no longer love from a place of lack, but from a desire to connect, you start emitting a completely different frequency. The energy of someone who is whole, who doesn't need saving, who doesn't need constant validation, and who is simply present. But to become that present requires more than just a change in behavior. It requires a deep inner journey, the journey back to your true self. This is what Jung called individuation. Number 4, individuation, the master key to real love. Carl Jung called individuation the process of becoming wholly oneself. He saw it as the single most important journey a human being can take. The journey to become who you were always meant to be, not a carbon copy of someone else, not a puppet of others' expectations, and no longer manipulated by your own wounds. And it is this journey, not some external trick or technique, that holds the key to attracting a love that is real, a love that flows not from lack, but from freedom. Have you ever asked yourself, why do I keep picking people who can't love me right, and then spend all my energy trying to change them into the person I need? Jung would say it's because you are living as a divided self. When you haven't gone through the process of individuation, when you are disconnected from the authentic parts of yourself, you will always search for those missing parts in other people. Individuation isn't about becoming independent in that cold, modern sense of the word. It doesn't mean you have to live alone or never need anyone. Individuation is the process of finally seeing who you are, what baggage you are carrying, which wounds are silently running your life, and then accepting and integrating all of those pieces to become a unified, conscious, and free person. Imagine a woman who carries a deep-seated fear of abandonment. As a child, her parents were emotionally absent. They weren't cruel, just not there. She never learned what it felt like to be loved for just being, so she learned to be good. She learned that to get any affection, she had to be agreeable, quiet, and not cause any trouble. As an adult, she brings this exact pattern into her romantic relationships. She is always the one who gives more, sacrifices her needs, compromises on her boundaries, and swallows her true feelings. She operates from the unconscious belief that if she is just good enough, people won't leave her, but they always leave. Not because she is unlovable, but because the entire energy she projects is that of someone who has never loved herself. She loves out of fear, not freedom. She loves from a persona, a mask she created to survive, not from her full, authentic self. That persona can only create a counterfeit love, a transaction of dependency, not a true connection. Jung famously said, "One does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious." You cannot truly see or love another person if you do not first know yourself. If you don't understand your own needs and haven't faced the parts of yourself you've spent your whole life rejecting. Individuation is that journey into your own darkness. It's about accepting your whole self, the light and the shadow, the weakness and the strength, the wounds and the potential. And when you do that, you start to love, not because you need someone to make you feel whole, but because you are whole, and you want to share that wholeness with another. The great irony is that most people think they are grown up, but they are still children walking around in adult bodies. They enter relationships with the naive hope that their partner will understand them completely, love them unconditionally, and heal all their secret wounds, without ever realizing that every time they love from a place of lack, they are dragging their childhood wounds into the present and placing them at their partner's feet. And sooner or later, that partner will buckle under the weight. Individuation is a painful process. It has to be. It forces you to face everything you've been running from, the emptiness, the loneliness, the fear. You can no longer blame others for your pain. You can no longer hide in the comfortable role of the victim. You have to take radical responsibility for your choices. You have to have the courage to peel back every mask, every defense mechanism, every story you've told yourself, and return to the raw, unadorned, real you. Once you make peace with yourself, once you learn to love your own imperfections, you realize that true love isn't about finding your other half. True love is what happens when two individuated people, two souls who are at peace with themselves, choose to walk together, not to fill each other's voids, but to amplify each other's light. And when love comes from that place, it is no longer insecure. You no longer need to cling to the other person for your sense of worth. You don't need to control them or demand that they prove their love every single day just to make you feel safe. Because the safety you were looking for, you finally built it inside yourself. If this resonates with you, leave a comment below. Maybe just write, "I'm on this journey." Your words might be a light for someone else who is quietly navigating their own darkness. In a world that teaches us to love from fear, from wounds, and from fantasy, choosing the path of individuation is a revolutionary act. It doesn't just change how you love, it changes the very energy you radiate. And that energy, not your looks or your words, is what will ultimately determine the kind of love you can attract and sustain. Individuation is not a destination. It's a lifelong process. It's a long series of encounters with yourself, in the silence, in the solitude, in the turmoil. And with every step you take deeper into yourself, you take a step away from half-hearted connections in the endless cycle of dependent love. The love you attract will finally be one that brings you closer to your own soul. A love that feels like freedom. A relationship that doesn't consume you, but helps you grow. Number 5, the transformation from chaser to attractor. Nobody can love you for you. No one can make you feel whole if you don't believe you are worthy. No relationship on earth, no matter how perfect it seems, can fill a void that you have never dared to face yourself. And that is why the journey of transformation doesn't start with meeting someone new. It starts and ends with you. Carl Jung didn't offer easy answers. He didn't paint a picture of therapy as a gentle, comforting process. Jung was the one who would drag you back to the very center of your pain and demand that you sit there, that you face your own darkness head-on, because that is the only place you will find your true light. In this journey to heal the energy of dependency, you have to do what most people are terrified to do. You have to be alone, consciously, without escaping, and learn, step by step, how to come home to yourself. Here is a simple but profound exercise to help you begin. If you are brave enough to try it, comment below, "I am ready," so we can start this work together. The first step is to reflect on your current or past relationship patterns. Ask yourself, in my connections, where am I abandoning myself? Am I always the one to text first, to make up after a fight, to sacrifice my own comfort just to keep the peace? Go deeper. Where in this relationship am I being neglected by myself? Maybe you don't set boundaries because you're afraid they'll leave. Maybe you feel lonely even when you're with them because you stopped sharing what you really feel a long time ago. These are all signs that you are abandoning yourself for the sake of love. And starting today, I want you to make a commitment. A commitment to pause all behaviors that are driven by the need for reassurance. This means you do not text them just to check in. Even if you miss them, even if you're worried they're upset, even if you just want to know that they still care, you don't need to check. You need to trust that if someone is truly connected to you, they will show up from their own desire, without you having to prompt them. You do not need a reply to know your worth. Your value is not located in someone else's response time. It is located in the commitment you are making to yourself right now. The second exercise is to practice intentional solitude. This isn't the passive loneliness where you curl up on the couch with your phone, waiting for something or someone to distract you from the emptiness. This is active, purposeful stillness. It is choosing to turn down the volume of the outside world so you can finally hear the voice within. Try this. Journal your emotions every single day. First thing in the morning or last thing at night, write down everything you are feeling. The confusion, the pain, the anger, the hope. It doesn't have to be pretty, it just has to be honest. Writing is the act of untangling the unconscious. It brings the light of your awareness into the dark corners of your emotional world. Next, face the feeling of loneliness without running away. Instead of immediately filling the silence with a movie, social media, food, or a random text to an old fling, just sit. Actually sit with the feeling. Feel that emptiness in your chest and your stomach. Don't rush to fix it. Instead, ask it, where did you come from? What are you trying to tell me? In that silence, you will start to hear the things you've been trying to drown out your whole life. The voice of your own heart, old memories, outdated beliefs, unhealed wounds. These are not your enemies. They are the map back to yourself. The third exercise is to focus on nurturing your inner world. Think about how much of your life you have spent trying to be lovable to someone else. How much energy you have poured into becoming their ideal. It is time to reclaim that energy and invest it back into yourself. Not through shallow self-care, but through deep, foundational self-building. Take care of your body. It is the sacred vessel that holds every single one of your emotional wounds. A balanced diet, proper sleep, and daily movement aren't just about physical health. They reduce the unconscious stress that makes you vulnerable to dependency. When your body feels clearer, your emotional choices become clearer. Embrace your creativity. Write, draw, play music, cook, build something. Anything that makes you feel like you are creating and contributing to the world from your own unique abilities. Creative acts are one of the most powerful ways to heal a fractured self, because they connect you to an intrinsic sense of value that only you can provide. And finally, reconnect with yourself. Schedule time every single day for something that makes you feel truly alive, just for you. A walk in the park, a chapter of a book that helps you understand yourself, brewing a cup of tea, and just sitting with it. These are not small things. They are powerful affirmations that say, I choose to be with myself. I no longer need to escape. When you do these things, you are not just taking your energy back from others, you are fundamentally rewiring yourself. You are telling your subconscious, I am ready to stop loving from need. I am ready to love from fullness. And from that place, a new energy begins to radiate from you. A groundedness, a calmness, an allure that has nothing to do with your appearance and everything to do with your essence. Number 6, the kind of love that finds you when you love yourself. When you no longer operate from a state of lack, you begin to broadcast a different frequency. An energy that doesn't beg, but invites. An energy that doesn't cling, but attracts. An energy that doesn't crave, but rests in its own power. This energy, as Jung described it, is the signature of a soul that has moved past projection and has begun the process of individuation. You no longer need to find someone to fill your emptiness, because you have built a life within yourself that is already full. And from that place of fullness, you begin to draw to you the very things you used to chase. When you needed it too much, you pushed it away. But when you no longer need it, you become a magnet for it. Jung said, wholeness is not achieved by cutting off a portion of one's being, but by integration of the contraries. That wholeness is what attracts healthy love. People will come into your life, and they will stay, and they will want to connect with you, because they can sense your fullness. They sense that being with you doesn't mean they have to carry your emotional baggage. They don't have to prove themselves to you. They can just be themselves, because you are finally, fully yourself. You start attracting opportunities that are aligned with your true calling, because you are no longer making choices out of fear. You move with clarity, and that makes you more decisive, more creative, and more powerful. You attract genuine, non-transactional affection. You draw in people who are direct, stable, and honest, because you have stopped pretending to be someone you're not just to be liked. You attract people who love you not because they think they can make you happy, but because they are already happy, and they want to share that happiness with you. This is the love of two whole people, not two broken halves trying to patch each other up, but two individuals who have walked through their own fire, who have learned to live authentically and deeply. And so they choose each other, not out of need, but out of want. Not to fill a void, but because they have both learned to love themselves completely. Love, then, is no longer a prize you win for being good enough. It is the natural, effortless resonance between two souls vibrating at the same frequency. You don't try to hold on to each other. You don't try to control each other. You don't stay together out of fear. You choose to stay, every single day, because out of all the options in the world, you still choose each other. It is no longer a necessity, it is a conscious companionship. And the most beautiful part is, when you are in this state, even if someone does walk out of your life, you no longer crumble, because you know that your worth was never defined by their love. It was only ever a reflection of the love you already carried inside. You will still feel pain, but you will not lose yourself. And then, other worthy things will come. Not on a schedule, not according to a plan, but in the exact moment you stop searching and start being. Thank you for walking this path with me. In the end, the answer to the relationship you crave is not found in another person. It is found in the quality of the energy you radiate every single day. And the miracle is, you can change that energy the moment you decide to pause, turn inward, and finally put yourself first. As Jung told us, if you have nothing at all to create, then perhaps you create yourself. True love doesn't come when you strain to be loved. It comes when you stop trying to be someone else and finally give yourself permission to be you. No controlling, no clinging, no begging. Just a quiet, powerful, grounded presence. No one ever falls in love. They fall into themselves, into the parts of them they've never dared to see. And true love, if it exists, is just the natural response of a soul that has finally come home. If what I've shared today has resonated with you, and you feel that call to change, please subscribe to the channel and turn on your notifications. You never know when the next video might arrive, just at the moment you need it most.